Hey, everybody, and welcome to the 1111 Update Podcast. My name is Krista Kaiser, and today I'm joined by my former spiritual nana and success coach, Janine Bowen. Hi, Janine.
Hi, how are you?
So well. Thank you so much for coming down. Janine blessed us with her presence in person, coming all the way down the 401 and the 115. We're straight down to Peterborough, so thank you for that.
It's my pleasure. The drive was spectacular.
Oh, good. It's not often you hear that.
Wow. Today, everything was aligned.
Oh, I love it. So I met Janine when we worked for, I'm not going to name the company because I don't want to get my ass sued.
Right.
But we worked for a men's hair company that happened to deal with hair loss.
Yes.
And Janine was my guiding light in that hellscape of an office.
What a wild time. You know, I often forget that I worked there.
I don't blame you. I think we all wipe that.
Yeah.
You know?
And then people are like, I remember the funny stories you used to tell me. And I'm like, well, I've been trying to forget. So.
And you were just like, when you'd come in, I'd be like, finally, she's here. Like, I can start my day. I know how to proceed with my life, because you know what it's like when you're in an office, when you're anywhere and you get sucked of your energy. I'm not a 9-to-5 person. I'm not an office person. You were not a 9-to-5 person. You were not an office person. And we were all just trying to shove ourselves into these corporate roles, and our like truest selves would not escape us, and we could not stop being ourselves.
Yeah, which is a battle.
Yes.
I think, like, as women, we always have to mask. As a person of color, I also am constantly masking.
Yeah.
But as you get older, the mask starts to deteriorate. And it's harder and harder to put it on.
Yeah.
And working in such an absurd environment, it's almost like, what are we masking? Everybody's
hair loss.
Nuts.
We're masking hair loss.
Oh my gosh. So true. Here we are helping people put on the mask of hair.
Literally, masks.
And hide from something that is so unimportant.
And their reality. We made a living off of telling people they weren't good enough in the form that they were, and making them look the way we thought they should look to be worthy of being out in the world.
Let me tell you something. That job stole my soul for so many reasons.
Yeah.
It was, number one, it was completely out of alignment with my values as a human.
Yes.
Number two, the fact that we preyed on men's insecurities is wild.
Yeah.
And it introduced me to something I didn't know about men. Like, I didn't know they cared about their hair to that degree.
To the dollars and the cents. Not only that degree, but $3,000 a month sometimes.
Like, men were taking money out of their savings that they're supposed to be using for their homes, down payments for their homes, their children's education.
Travel, healthcare.
To put this rug.
Bitch, I'll never forget that fucking mohawk.
There were so many situations where I had to just have a reality check, being like, girl, you were using tape and glue to tape down wigs.
Literal wigs.
On
Rugs.
men's hair.
Oh my God.
And the way that they would frame it was so diabolical.
Yeah.
That this disillusioned human being would come in thinking we had a miracle to sell them. And it would be called their new hair, their new style. It was never called a toupee. It was never called a wig.
It was a matrix.
Oh, yeah. And a matrix. All these wild things.
Yeah.
And I remember, because I was one of the quote unquote head stylists, and I'm like the worst hairdresser in the world. Like, when I would reveal it out of the towel and they would see, it was a varying degree of reactions. Now, for those that would just go into that space of like quiet and being like, I don't know what's happening.
Panic.
I can directly relate because when shit goes down, I go into that space of being like, I don't know what's happening. Shut down.
Yeah.
Because
I'm the same.
I'm just waiting for a reboot. Like I need this to stop because I'm shutting down. And then others maybe proclaiming a little discomfort. But I think for those who had the realization that I've just been taken.
Bamboozled.
I've been taken.
Yeah.
That moment of enlightenment for them, I was like this. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, in a way, it was a spiritual experience for them.
It really was.
No, it's a spiritual experience, accepting self, saying like, I just literally bought magic beans and I don't even like beans.
Yeah.
And I'm getting the fuck out of here
Yeah.
and shaving my head and off I go.
Yeah. The crazy thing was very few of them would get up in that moment. Like I would say 99% of them would go through with it.
Yeah.
And then the next day be like, get this off of me.
I got those phone calls and those voicemails and I had to call them back and schedule them in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I can't believe you went through this.
Right.
But then I can believe it because there was so much hope in this miracle that when you realized you got taken, you're like, I'm going to sit in this for a moment until I
lick my wounds. And
then be like, I want this off.
Yeah.
And the wild thing is then they have this whole system in place to convince you and show you your old pictures of like, remember when you look like this?
Yeah.
And this is what you look like now. Why wouldn't you want to continue to look like this? Well, maybe because there was nothing wrong with you when you came in that door.
And you know what? This is before really like filters were crazy. And it was like the yassification of men at that time.
Yes.
And then it was like making them look filtered. And now it's like, God, just go on TikTok and they have a hair filter. Like you want to catfish people, then think that you have, and there's nothing wrong with wearing a matrix, a wig, a toupee. There's nothing wrong with not having hair. But it's the bamboozlement, I'm trying to trick myself and everybody else into it.
You know, if they had have just approached it from being like, okay, you know what we're the experts in?
Masking.
Toupees.
Yeah, exactly.
If they had have embodied that and owned it and been like, look, there's no miracle drug.
Yeah.
But what we do have is A, B, C, and D.
And confidence and build confidence
Exactly.
within.
Because the sales technique, and this is why I do not like salespeople, is I'm going to bring you down. I'm going to
chop you down.
Push all the buttons that we know relate to your insecurities. And then we're going to show you this little glimmer of light so that you can come on board. Because this is the things that's going to save you because I've made you feel like shit.
Yeah.
And right now, I'm obsessed with American politics.
Yes.
Like any human being who has a television.
Yeah.
And it's like when you see the two sides, and we have been in a dumpster fire as their direct neighbors, and having some of that toxicity like seep up. And seeing, and I truly believe this, that the light will always come through darkness.
Yes.
That sometimes in this life and on your journey, individually, collectively, you have to go to the darkest places.
Yeah.
Because when you find yourself there and then you see the light, you understand the contrast of what fear and what displacement and how badly we can be as human beings. So when the light is shone, you really have a choice. You have a choice to stay in the pits of hell.
Yeah. To make a home.
Yes. And dwell there.
Yeah.
Which some do.
Absolutely.
But the majority of human beings want to live in joy.
Yeah.
And you're seeing this shift in the matter of 2 weeks. We have gone from hopelessness in North America to a place of absolute joy and hope. And the amount of time I spend on YouTube is disturbing. Just collecting all of this insight and information about things. Things you already know.
Yep.
But the knowing that light will always triumph and prevail.
Yes.
And then seeing it and watching it in real time.
Yeah. And feeling it.
Yes.
And feeling it in your bones, feeling that joy start to seep back up. And it's beautiful.
It is beautiful because you know intrinsically that we cannot continue on this trajectory.
Absolutely.
It's not sustainable.
No.
So yeah.
Well, and that's very similar to us at the place where we were working. Like we thought, okay, we can do this for a paycheck. You know, I can do this for a paycheck. I can do this to live in Toronto. I can do this to pay my rent and get my TTC, pass and all of this. And then at the end of the day, you're like, I don't feel good about the work that I'm doing. I don't feel good about, and it's not like I ever felt bad. I just didn't feel good,
I actually was in therapy.
Actually, I walk that back. I do feel bad because I used to have to run everybody's credit cards nonstop. And I tell you guys, I would go days without running them and be like, go and pay all your bills and then I'll run it. Like I had such empathy and such, I could not see myself in that position. And I had a lot of care for the people who were.
Which is wild because not that I didn't know about the
collections
collection sides, because you'd hear it like run it, because we use all this verbiage to essentially say steal these people's money for this foolishness,
to take the humanity out of them.
Yes.
Run it.
Yeah.
Run it.
And like we would talk about people like their cards didn't go through.
Yeah.
And then, as much as I did not enjoy dealing with this one particular client, who's obviously their name I'm not going to say, but I also don't remember.
Yeah.
And he was a shyster, and good for him, because he would have all these fraudulent cards.
Yeah.
He'd have like 5 million cards and getting these people's hair put on.
What a wildebeest.
Yeah. And at the time we're like,
okay, I just whispered a name.
Yes. And I'm like, I think so.
I think that's what it is.
And pleasant guy, tip well.
Yeah. Yeah, he always booked you.
Yeah.
Always booked you.
Came in frequently. Mm-hmm. And I would hear on the back end just, which credit card is he going to bring us today?
Oh, right.
Is it even going to go through? He's always switching them up. And I'm like...
He was a bank account, not a person.
Yeah. And I thought, in retrospect, good for him.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You're gaming the gamer.
Yeah.
I don't even...
You can't get got if you got all your cards out.
You know what? If you were an honorable place, like a respectable business, you probably wouldn't find yourself in that situation. And, I obviously hear about the wild, where the company is at now. And I think all the bad things that are happening to you, you kind of deserve, because you can't put that kind of energy out.
Exactly.
And not expect to come back. So I lasted there 2 years.
Mm-hmm. I think you were there for about a year when I came in.
I started in 2014.
Okay.
And I left in 2016.
Yeah.
And the last year I think I was in therapy. I was in therapy because I was so unhappy working there.
Yeah.
But needed a job. And I'm laughing because I'm tapping.
Yeah, I just checked her.
Yeah. I'm a tapper. I do a lot of things when I talk. This is now an
ASMR.
Yeah, exactly. So my point being, I got to go back because, the nana brain is back.
Love.
I remember I didn't deal with the trauma of my job loss previously.
Yeah.
And it took me on this journey, and that's how I kind of ended up there, because I was like, okay, I am a makeup artist by trade. I'd been working in the industry for years and years. Incidentally, I'm back at that company, but I
didn't know that. That's
exciting.
Yeah.
I left. I was not working in that environment for like 7 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, if I'm going to be a makeup artist in Toronto, you have to know how to do hair.
Yeah.
So I went to hair school, and then more and more was like, I'm not good at this, and I don't like it.
Yeah, but let's do it. Let's get paid to do it.
I really needed a job.
Yeah.
Because freelance was not going well.
No.
And, a previous colleague reached out and was like, hey, we're looking for a stylist. And I was like, I'm looking for a job.
Yeah, it was the light at
Yes.
the end of that dark tunnel.
That tunnel. And the wild thing is, I think we were really able to compartmentalize like this job, and being like, I really love the people I work with, in terms of like always the person at the front desk and my manager.
Yes. And some of the stylists
And
were
some
amazing.
of the stylists, some of them, like, you can't work in that industry and not be a little kooky.
Oh, God.
Like, I've never met a stylist who worked there that could function in a salon setting.
No. True.
Right?
True.
It's, and this sounds terrible, but it's sort of like cast-offs of the industry. So they find this weird niche of places to work where you can make a decent living, have a regular schedule,
benefits.
You don't have to get your own clientele.
No.
Like, there's so many appealing parts to that when it comes to being in that industry. But you have to sell your soul.
Well, and in this regard, what was the thing that drew you out of it? What was it where you said, like, I can no longer do this work that I am not aligned with?
My conscience. Like, it just got to the point where I was like, going there is taking more from me than not having a job. Like, being unemployed is worse than working there.
It's better than.
Yes.
Yeah, it's better than working there. Being unemployed energetically
is better than,
is
better than working there. Like, that was the thing for me. I was like, I need to make a choice. Who am I as a person? And I think I had started my spiritual journey there. So 2 years in, I had to make a choice. And it was like, how it started was like right before you had started. This interesting woman had come to the center, and I was on vacation. And when I got back, it was like, you will not believe what happened while you were gone. Now, you will not believe what happened was how we started every day.
Every single day.
Because the most absurd,
obtuse, left field things would happen
on a daily basis.
And most of it was stylists.
Right? And the wild thing is, it became our normal.
Yes.
Because when you would tell people outside of this environment about the insane things that were happening, like, I remember coming in after the holidays and a client was sitting outside of the door. They looked like they got their ass whooped.
I remember that.
They had a hospital band on their wrist. You know who this is.
Yes, I do.
Starts with a B.
Yeah.
Hair in a bag. And I thought to myself, you've just been released from the hospital, clearly.
Yeah.
And the first place you're coming
is to get your wig done.
Is to get your hair put back on.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Do you remember the client who was having a stroke?
No.
Someone had a stroke and they wanted me to come to the hospital. They were having a stroke in my chair.
Jesus.
And I kept saying, don't you think you should go to the hospital? Like
I can't even fathom.
Yeah. They finally went to the hospital. was actually having a stroke and then wanted me to go there to do their hair. And I thought, what kind of insane asylum am I working in?
Well, there was the public figure who was one of our clients who passed away, and and when he passed away, I think it was like a week, and his wigs were in our, like, everybody's like, get those matrices. We want them for the guy who was the shyster.
Yes.
And because he was the highest paying client, they were of the similar ilk. And it was like, this man is dead in like tragic circumstances. And we're like shuffling his wigs around Canada. Like, it just,
so wild.
It was wild. It was wild. But if you go back to like your beginning of your spiritual journey, how would you kind of describe that? What really set that off?
So I go back to the story of, like, I'm on vacation and this woman comes in, and the person who was doing the consultation at the time, I guess they were going through the normal, the process. And at some point she said, I'm not here for this. I'm here for you. And started reading this person.
Oh, that's my dream.
Right?
Oh.
And then obviously left. This person is shook.
Yeah.
So we're having a conversation. And I immediately am like, I need to meet her.
Yeah.
I need an appointment. Like, you got her contact? Let me reach out. So I make an appointment.
I remember this. Is this the same woman who followed Al back and told her husband?
Yeah.
Okay.
You didn't work there at the time, but
there,
you
but I remember,
hear the stories.
And her name was like Angel or something.
No, it was...
I'm trying to
the angel was on her card.
Her card.
I still carry her card. What was her name? I can't remember. She's no longer with us.
Oh, I'm sorry. What an
angel. I went to her funeral.
Oh.
But at the time, I didn't know. She would talk about having a sickness. She had cancer.
Oh, geez.
So she was still reading people. She was still doing light work.
Wow.
Like, she was ready to transition, but it wasn't her time because she had her daughter and her granddaughter had the gift.
Wow.
And so I guess for her, she needed to put that. Her daughter didn't actively utilize it, whereas she wanted to make sure her granddaughter was okay. And it's interesting because I'm going to go back to our interaction. So I met with her. I can't remember. No, she started the process of I needed to be doing something else. Obviously, she was like, this job is basically stealing your soul, killing your soul. The reason you can't hold on to that money is because it's contaminated. Like, it's, she was like, because I made a lot of money.
A ton.
Yeah, but never had any.
Liquid.
Yeah.
It was.
And she told me to read You Can Heal Yourself by Louise Hayes.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning. So I started reading that book. I would see her, not regularly, but regularly enough.
Yeah.
Over the course of a couple of years. After reading that book, it led me on the journey of discovering other books. And I want to say it led me to the Agape Spiritual Center, because there is the spiritual ideology that's, I don't want to misquote what it's called. I want to say the science of something.
Right.
Anyways, so that ideology, I was looking for something in Toronto. So this was during, not COVID, because it was before that, but a lot of services would stream their service.
Right.
So I watched it and I was like, this is like the rhythmless nation here. Like this singing. I can't.
It hurts your poor ear.
Yeah, I can't go to this church. I'm going to use the term church.
Yeah.
Because it's a little dry. A little dry on the palate.
It's not very seasoned.
Yeah, there's no seasoning on here. So I discover this spiritual center that's based in LA. And what's wild is, when The Secret was out years ago and we were all like, secret.
Yeah, secreting this.
Yes, everything. turns out the head of this center is Bernard Beckwith.
Oh my gosh.
Who's so I recognize this person from The Secret. And so everything kind of falls in alignment that I am now on Sundays watching service and, the choir's popping.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting because the next person whose book I accidentally order from Amazon.
No accidents.
Right?
Yeah.
When you're like, it's like buy now. And you're like, oh, and I was like, oh, I just wanted to put it in the basket.
Yeah.
Right? And it's Nichols. What's her name? Her first name it'll come to me. Anyways, she's also in The Secret.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm reading her book.
Robin?
No.
No.
I'm reading her book, and then there is a line in it. I didn't finish the book, but
you got what you needed.
Yeah.
Nana.
And she starts to talk about living on purpose. And the way it was framed in the book, it sort of was my first time in my and I was in my 40s by this time, hearing the concept of living your purpose, essentially living on purpose, living your purpose. And I don't know why it escaped me, but I think my whole time in the cosmetic industry, I knew I was supposed to be doing something else. Previous to that, I was in social work.
Right.
But it didn't resonate. I was too young. I didn't understand how to create balance in my life. And also that industry, and it's in one of my blogs, really did focus on giving people tools instead of empowering them.
Yeah.
Because coaching wasn't a big thing back then.
No.
It was just, I'm your social worker. You don't have a job, here's a job.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to send you
You're
on the
checking boxes.
Yeah, I'm going to help you do. I'm going to teach you how to do your resume, but I'm going to do it for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to show you how to look for a job, but I'm going to set up the interviews and send you. Then we're going to give this employer a stipend to hire you.
Yeah.
So none of these things are lasting life skills if the person isn't fully invested.
Right.
And the biggest, or the incident, or the
catalyst,
thank you, for me shifting out of social work was I was working with a young man, and he was bipolar, and he was bipolar one or two,
right?
Whichever one is the more severe of the two. And like, I'm going to own buildings, I'm going to do this, all these grandiose things that you're living on the street, boo. Yeah. You're not doing this right now.
Yeah.
And we got him back on his meds. We got him housing. We got him a job. And it was a point of pride for me.
Yes.
And then I was walking down Yonge Street, and he was back on the street on drugs, on,
off meds,
full mania.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say one part ego.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was like, what am I doing? It's just a cycle of nothingness.
Right.
And
well, you didn't feel you could make a change. Like the person who you thought you changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my ego was like,
get the fuck out.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything. And in actuality, it was sort of, that story kind of sticks with me. That experience sticks with me because when I reflect back, I understand it was ego. However, it's also a system that's ineffective.
Yeah.
And my ego needed immediate gratification.
Right.
Like everybody's.
Well, makeup artist is a great way to be immediately gratified.
Exactly. So I went back to school part-time, learned how to do makeup, and then I would do makeup and people were like, oh my God, I'm so beautiful. And I've done that, and I still do it to some degree for a very long time. And it fed my ego, but didn't feed my soul.
Yeah.
So being in this industry, I knew something was missing. Something was missing. And yes, looking good and having that help you feel better is important.
Absolutely.
It's that when we don't go any deeper than that, that there's the problem.
Yeah.
And even though I'm still in the industry, because I'm still, I'm working on building my business and my, my practice and all that stuff, because Mama still got to pay these bills.
Yeah. She's got mouths to feed, little hairy mouths to feed.
Right?
Yes.
And unfortunately, life is not free.
No.
So in my journey, let me just balance myself. In my journey, after finding that center, after reading that passage in a book, and then I had a psychic reading with Laura Trapman.
I don't know her.
She's
I'm always open.
Yeah, she's a little bit of a powerhouse. And she was like, you need to be coaching. Like, she just felt no ways to just make the path as clear as day.
Yeah.
And that, with the book, with the so many things started to make sense, where I was like, you are right, ma'am.
Yeah.
So I took some online course, got my certification, and there's something magical that happens when you discover your purpose, because it's like a runway. The lights start popping off and it shows you the way. Now, on a runway, it's not always straight. You know when you taxi to get to the runway before you can
take on off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what it's been like for me. And I'm going to say this all happened in 2017. So it's been 7 years.
Wow.
So being on that journey in 2016, I had to make the choice. Like, do I want to come to work and feel like shit?
Yeah.
Emotionally, psychologically, physically. Or do I want to just leave, do figure it out?
Yeah.
And that's what I did. It forced me to, deal with the job loss. It forced me to look at myself. It forced me to make a better plan. And in that better plan, I bought a condo.
I remember that.
Yes.
I remember.
So I bought the condo in 2015.
Yeah. I was there the day you signed those papers.
Quit the job in 2016, even though knowing that it was pre-construction, I had a little bit of time. I could figure it out. And then in the process of figuring it out, my old employer was like, hey, girl, trying to get me back to come back for years. Hey, girl, you need a job.
A job. Yeah.
Your closing is coming soon. Just come back for 8 months.
Oh,
this is how they get you. She knew. She knew. She was like, I have a permanent position. I'd be like, no. And she was like, come back 8 months. And then you can go do your thing. 8 months turned into 7 years.
Wow.
But there's a wonderful thing about knowing your purpose as well. And a couple of things. Number one, finding out how you can live your purpose every day. Either if that means something that you do outside of your employment. And this is one of the things that I've had to learn for myself, because when you first are enlightened, you're like, my purpose needs to come through my career, right?
I need to monetize my purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's, what can I do? Like, I have a job, I need the job because life.
Yes.
But what can I do outside of said job that fulfills my purpose? Is it volunteering? Is it what? Because chances are, and I'm going to say 100% of the time, your purpose involves serving others.
Yes.
Because that's what we're here to do. So whatever that looks like, you have to figure that out.
Yeah.
But I have been fortunate enough that I've been able to utilize the skills that I've garnered from my entire career, everything I learned from social work, and I use it in a corporate environment where my purpose is to help others be their best
versions of self and step into their purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I do that in the environment that I am currently in. So I am a corporate trainer.
Oh, hello.
Yes. And I have somehow finagled my position.
Manifested, we'll say.
Well, I, within the confines of my job, I've really pushed to be a resource for leaders. So
that's brilliant.
Managers who manage young humans, usually, helping them be the best so they can get the best out of their people.
Brilliant.
And more, I'm redefining my role by boldly being myself and being very verbal about how we can be better as a company.
Absolutely.
And just being unapologetic about it to the point where now it's like, I have to get you one. I have one in the car for you.
Yeah.
I have a planner.
I was going to ask you.
Yes.
Okay,
so I have a planner. I forgot.
I love you.
Yes. And I've been able to somehow convince, and by convince, I was like, hey, we should have this for the manager.
Yeah.
Same said friend who brought me back to the company was like, sounds good.
Brilliant.
And I was like, is that it?
That's what happens when you're in alignment.
Right? I was like, I have a sales pitch. She's like, I know you. I know what you can do.
I know what you offer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you were once my manager and you were a crazy woman.
Same.
So, yeah. I'm like, did you really enjoy those plans that I'd submit at the beginning of the fiscal year? And nobody else was doing it. And I was like,
Tippity typing.
Yeah. It's like, okay, it's 5 pages. Settle down.
That's so funny.
So I've been able to live my purpose in that environment. And then on the same token, I spend not all, because I'm learning balance.
Yes.
Or as I like to say, harmony.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, work-life harmony. There's no such thing as balance.
No.
You're at your job like half of the day. I would love to spend the other half on a beach, but that's not realistic.
No, today it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. And that's kind of been my journey. So one of the things that I focus on outside of my full-time job is, hercollected.
This is how I found Janine again.
Yes.
So Janine has this incredible coaching company called, not company, but a coaching brand called hercollected. And it's incredibly empowering, purposeful, aligned. And I find that every prompt you give is something that is thoughtful but not overwhelming. Like it's not too in depth where you're like, I don't fucking know where to start with this. It's really paced. Like you know how to pace out things so that it builds momentum within each person. And yeah.
Thank you for saying that.
A pleasure.
It's been a learning. When you have a gift, and I say this to my clients all the time, sometimes you don't fully understand it.
I say this, I'm not joking, Janine. I did a reading yesterday and it was for my friend and she was like, okay, what about relationships and love life? And so I'm like shuffling. I was like, you got to change your fucking attitude about it. And she's like, I didn't even say anything. In her head, she's like, here we go. She said, literally, here we go. What the hell is she going to say now? And I just clocked her. And she's like, I was like, I don't know how this happens. I don't know why. So yeah, anybody with a gift, you don't know what it is. It's innate.
It's innate. And sometimes you need somebody from outside of yourself to hold up a mirror.
Yes.
Because when something's innate, just like being right-handed, you don't think about it. You don't think about the impact that you have on people. And as you start to understand yourself and understand your gift, it starts to make sense.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it makes sense but you don't have the words. And I can honestly say that in the last couple of weeks, because for me, this since June has been like a world. I've been traveling. It's been insane. That I've finally realized, and not so much realized, but I've been able to put into words what my gift is. And before I just was like, yeah, I'm good with people.
Right.
And you know, in corporations, they're always doing these personality tests and whatever. So I did this. It's called the Clifton Strength Finding, whatever. So it zeroes in not so much on personality, but your strengths, what you're good at. And my number one strength is connectedness.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. So I realized that my innate gift is to be able to connect with people, understand where they're at, sometimes have an understanding, if I hear your full story, how you got there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But be able to explain things in a manner that people are able to understand, as well as create paths with little tiny steps and that are digestible and not overwhelming.
Yeah.
And when you, again, with your gift, you take it for granted. You don't understand that not everybody has that capability.
Trust.
Because you're just like, well, what, you can't.
You can't read minds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? And that's it. So helping people find their purpose, discover their gifts, putting them on a path, and then supporting them and holding them accountable.
And how does it feel for you, who is somebody who felt like your bank account was fed and your soul was empty, going into a place where you are in your purpose every day?
This is what I have to say about it. And one part, someone might say it's because I have ADHD. When I am doing my work, literally hours, to the point where I look at the clock and I'm like, have you eaten? Have you had a glass of water? And your eyes are burning. So maybe we should have a break.
Right.
There's joy. And I'm pretty sure people have heard this all the time. There's joy. You could do it and you know, for hours and hours. And like you really and truly think about, what I think about is, how is this thing I'm creating, how is it going to benefit other people?
The intention behind it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what feeds my soul and what fills my cup is watching other people succeed. And some of it is ego.
Yeah, I'm sure. We all have it.
Absolutely. And most of it is 100% knowing that this is what I'm here to do. This is why I'm on this planet at this time.
Yeah.
Fulfilling my purpose.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
What a gift. I met Janine. How old was I at that time? I think I'd just gotten back from Australia. So I think I was 28, around 28, 29. And like, I gave up everything and moved to the mountains right after. Like, you and I had a spiritual awakening at the exact same time. And I hated that fucking job. I can't even tell you how much I hated that job.
You don't need to, because I hated it too.
Yeah. But you were what got me there. Like, having somebody that was a light, because we all say you quit shitty bosses.
Yeah.
You don't, usually the people who you work with is what keeps you around for the longest time.
Yeah.
And not that I stayed around a long time, but long enough that I was like, okay, if Janine's in, I can do this. I got this day. I can clock it. If she has too many clients, I'm going to move things around, make sure she has a moment to visit.
Yeah. So we can come and talk shit at the front.
Yeah. There was a lot of shit talking.
Yeah.
But I think it's such an interesting thing. You're one of the probably third or fourth hairstylists I know that work in spirituality and life coaching and something, because we worked with people's crowns. That's your messages to your guides, your angels. That's how you receive messages. And so your connectedness, you've been honing for all of these years through your artistry of makeup, through your hair artistry, and then now into your corporate, what is your...
I'm a trainer.
A corporate trainer. And then in your success coaching through hercollected, like you can see the trajectory, like you're building that snowball of connectedness everywhere you go. And Janine and I actually set up our best friends to date.
Did we?
Michael and Steve. Was it Michael?
Oh my God.
So like that's how much.
You know what? It's like a couple of things. That time was a blur.
I'm sure.
Like really, when I say I forgot I worked there.
Yeah.
So many things I forgot.
That's okay. But yeah, that was one of them. Like we talked that much that we're like, oh my God, your best friend sounds like he'd be amazing with my best friend. And they ended up dating for a while. So.
God, I forget everything. We're going to have to you're going to have to
we're gonna
really,
have we're going to have a full blown kiki at lunch right after.
I keep hitting my glasses on the mic. So it's
That's
so
all
sorry.
right. If you hear the pop, it's just because she's into it.
Yeah, I really am. I almost said something horribly inappropriate, but anyways.
Oh, you're welcome to here. This is the space for it.
Yes, we are spiritual and we are ratchet.
Yeah. Two things can be true.
At the same time.
100%.
Yeah, I think like the misconception of people who are spiritual and is that we're just like walking around being nuns. And I'm like, oh no.
I will read a bitch to filth.
I
2
can be
seconds.
savage if I need to, because some people bring out the dark side. And then when they get a taste of it, they're like, I thought
you're all love and light.
I thought, yes.
I was told by somebody, because I was like, people either love me or hate me. And so he's like, no, girl, people like you don't like them. And then they hate you because you don't like them.
Oh my God.
And I was like, exactly.
So true.
I was like, shit, that really clocked me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think the exact same thing about me.
Yeah. Like
myself.
you're a love or hate. And then you realize.
People are like, meh. But it's like, no, it's like my spirit doesn't take to everyone. And when I don't take to you,
get fucked.
Get the fuck.
Get fucked. No, yeah. I'm like that. There's not very many people that I don't feel anything for.
Yes.
But when I do, I'm like, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
Like it's actually dangerous when somebody's indifferent, not in a way that I would ever harm or anything. It's just like, you don't exist.
Yeah.
In a weird way.
Yeah. And indifference is such a insult.
It is.
Yeah. I remember when, working in retail and when customers were indifferent and would just ignore you, I was like, you're a horrible person.
You're not helping me reach my goals today.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm here to help you, but you can't see me. So
honestly,
I'm going to keep it moving.
Now, out of like all of the readings and everything you've had, like what would you say would be the most profound moment of your spiritual journey so far?
I think it's what put me on the trajectory. Like when you're lost and you are trying to grapple with what you know to be true on the surface, and you're trying to understand your intuition, and you're trying to make sense of what that looks like in the material world.
Yes.
Like, it's one thing to be like, I have a purpose, but what does that look like in a tangible,
in 2024 or
yeah.
2020 or whenever it was.
And that's what was hard. It's like, I know, and I've always known I'm supposed to help people. So when I was in high school, I wanted to be a psychiatrist.
Wow.
And then, I applied to No, I didn't even bother applying to university because I could see those grades. I saw them.
I wasn't wasting that $65.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I have eyes, and my eyes can see my grade point average, and it's saying, no, girl, no one's accepting you. So
saying dreams need not apply.
Right? So I had to shift, and I was like, okay, how can I help people? And I went to social work.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I'm having a full circle moment where I'm trying to get my certification, because things have changed since I left the field, so that I can offer counseling.
Cool.
Because right now I can only coach. And there are people who I need to dig a little deeper with them.
Yes.
Right? And I don't have the quote unquote authority,
right,
to dig that deep. You know, even, I mean, in the coaching environment, we're always crying. We're crying all the time.
Yes.
And I'm just holding you accountable.
I don't think it's a reading if we haven't cried.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
If we haven't cried, and I'm always on the verge of tears.
Yeah.
Because when you feel deeply, it's my favorite expression, that and laughter.
Yes. Wait, I'm sorry. I forgot to ask this. Do you know your sun, moon, and rising?
Yes. Aries, sun.
Right.
I want to say Libra.
Moon.
Pisces.
Rising.
One of those. You know what? I'll have to check my Bumble dating profile.
Stop this. Oh my God. Oh my God. This just fucking flashed me back to how many times you and I would spend going through our Bumbles and our Tinders and fucking ripping apart the people who had
the trash baggatry of dating.
I don't think I've recovered.
You know what? I only use it when I travel. So I was in Spain last month.
Amazing.
I want to live there. It's a whole other story.
I have a friend who lives there, so you let me know.
We can talk.
Yes.
I feel like there's a place on the earth that everybody belongs, and it's not where you're born.
Have you looked at astrocartography?
No.
So astrocartography is exactly that. You put in all of your information and it puts it into a world map. And so you see where the MC line goes with your Venus and where that covers. And like you click on spots and it's like this place is like where. So for me, I was looking at the island of Vancouver and it's my Mercury is on there, so it's really good for writing. Like if I were to go and do my writing, that would be one of the most beneficial places to write a book or get into writing. And so it's really, you can do it just for certain countries. Like if you were, say, just North America or just Canada, and then you can do it for the world, and it shows you where all of your lines intersect.
That's wild, because I play a game every time I travel, and the game is, could I live here?
Oh.
I was in San Francisco last week. I cannot live there. That did not meet the requirements.
No.
And so 2 weeks previous to that, I was in Barcelona, and I was like, not only can I live here, I could thrive here.
I could live my best fucking life here.
So that's why Bumble came out. I was trying to find my husband so that I could stay. I was like, let's get these papers, people. Me and
90 Day Fiance.
Yeah, me and Duolingo, we are leveling up.
You're on day 375.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, are we on a streak? Sí, señor.
Sangria?
Sí. I can't even remember where we were going with that.
I just love it.
Yes.
Or just about spiritual awakening, or sorry, where you kind of felt the most profound.
The most profound was really just finding and realizing, because there was always something that told me, you know, I have to work with people. I have to help people, but I have to help people deal with their shit.
Yeah, not just gloss over it and put a Band-Aid and patch it up and send them out into the world broken with a patch on.
Yes.
Yeah.
And which is weird, because it's like, well, what were you doing in makeup? Well, I liked it. Okay.
Yeah, but you disregard. I think a lot of people disregard the connection that is in makeup. I've done makeup for funerals. I've done makeup for weddings. I've done makeup for photo shoots, for empowerment photo shoots, for new, like it. I think there is something so, and not in like a weird way, but like intimate about putting.
Yes.
Touching somebody's skin and putting this stuff on and in a honored way, like in a, wow, you trust me to do this for you. Thank you. Like there is a profound connection in seeing somebody's beauty and being able to show them that.
Absolutely.
And now what you're doing is seeing somebody's inner beauty and showing them the mirror. I'm like getting goosebumps all over just from that, like, you went from behind the chair to behind a desk, and you're doing the exact same thing.
It's so true, because I have made the connection of being, you know, it's like sometimes you have to justify things
100%.
To yourself. And
what the fuck was that job doing in my trajectory? Like
what? But you know what? It's like, you don't understand at the time.
No.
But I do obviously fully understand the purpose. Now, if we both had stayed there, we'd be fucked.
Girl,
because
I
it
wouldn't
was
be alive.
supposed to be a moment in time for a number of things.
And to teach us
Yes.
what wasn't in alignment with
Right?
us.
And how that feels.
Because I say this all the time. You don't learn a fucking thing when everything goes right.
No.
You don't.
You think about the depth of human beings who've had everything handed to them.
Yeah.
There's none.
But there is also a confidence and a safety net that they have that we will never know.
Amen.
And I've had this discussion. I have friends who have had very wealthy upbringings, and it's the way that they carry themselves in the world I'm in awe of.
Lack of fear.
Lack of fear, just like there's just a confidence that is
Because you're not burdened.
No.
If I know that my bills are being paid and that if I decide tomorrow I want to go to Saint Tropez, is that what it's called?
Saint Tropez.
That's the place.
I like Saint Tropez better.
Right? I can't even pronounce it because I ain't going there.
No, we're going everywhere else.
Yes. So it's like the security of just not worrying about everyday bullshit.
Well, and don't you think then it would be harder to find your purpose if you don't have anything to compare and contrast with?
Yes.
Like, because a lot of, I think
Lost.
there is a sense of, I don't know why I'm here.
Yes. Because you haven't gone through it. I always say that the extremes in life will produce the same kind of person.
Wow.
If you've had nothing and you have gone through strife and abuse and all of the most horrible things, and you have lived a Donald Trump life, you're getting the same insecure potential for abuses of substance because you are lost.
Yeah.
It's all of us in the gray who you have enough strife, but not too much to break you.
Yeah.
Or you've had enough privilege, but, with a little bit of ethic.
Yeah.
So it's going to garner a little more depth of character.
Yeah.
Whereas if someone's been completely destroyed, it's really hard to find your purpose because you don't have any worth.
No.
Whereas if you've been given everything, it's hard to find your purpose when it's almost like you I don't want to say you don't have values because that's not it. It's that you have nothing to ground you.
Yeah.
Because you have so much freedom.
Or even that, like, I know when my intuition is speaking, and not to say that people with everything don't know that, but I also know when my intuition is screaming, get the fuck out of here. This is not okay. This is not the journey for you. And I know how to differentiate because unfortunately I've been in positions where I've had to go, okay, I can either walk to work this week or I can get groceries.
Yeah.
And in Toronto, when it's, CNE and it takes an hour and a half to get down King Street anyways.
Yeah.
I was just walking. I was like,
And
what?
what's
Street
wild
meat for
is
dinner.
you weren't even, that was like 6, 7 years ago. And it wasn't even as bad.
No, that wasn't even bad. But I remember like my time in Toronto, I spent all of my time on the subway going from one end of town to the other. Because before I worked for that company, I worked at a salon in Etobicoke and at a restaurant in East York.
Jesus
like Christ. The two furthest places in the entire thing.
I live on the subway. I live on TTC.
Yeah.
There's 2 lines and they're always broken down.
And then you walk it and you're like sweaty and gross and it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
But you were fit as fuck.
I was. I'm like, you know what? I didn't realize how hot I was and how fit I was.
Don't even get me started.
Oh. But I truly think like one of the reasons why I was in that place was to meet you and to have like, we're 10 years later and here we are sitting and we're in totally different places that we were, but we're still the exact same core humans we always were. And we connect at the exact same level. Even though our work looks different, we're still doing the same shit we've always done.
Yeah.
It's just now we're getting paid for it.
Right? It's those full circle moments where I'm like, okay, that job and that place did not make sense at the time.
Yep.
But like all things in retrospect, it's like, if I wasn't there, I would not have started my journey.
Yes.
maybe I would have, but it would have looked different.
Totally. I always say there's a lesson and a blessing in everything.
Absolutely.
And whether or not we have the perspective to see it, that's totally different. But there is a lesson and a blessing in all of it. And whether, you know, we want to believe it or not, it's there. It's true.
Everything has a purpose.
Yeah.
You know? And so back to your original question. That was it. Like being told, you know what, you should be coaching. And just in no uncertain terms. And sometimes you need someone to tell you because then it makes sense.
That's how I started this. So I had an aura reading by email from Mystic Michaela out of the States, who was on Real Housewives of Orange County. Shout out, Housewives. And I sent her a photo of myself, my ex-boyfriend, and my dog at the time, and then just one of myself. And she said, you are a purple and an indigo, which means you absorb the feelings of other people. You will walk into a room and feel fine before and then leave feeling judged and terrible about yourself. And it's because you've absorbed, right?
I'm like this.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
But she said, you will never be able to work a 9-to-5 job. You will never. And I tried several times after, and I still go back to that. And it's like, I feel not only what people are feeling, but the root to which people are feeling. And so what a healing gift to be able to help clear shit out that people have no concept that that's what's holding them back, or that's what's keeping them from it. But it was the same thing where I had somebody else see and go, you could do this work. You can get paid. You don't have to do what anybody else does to make a living.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
But do you know how hard that is for somebody who's like been on their own since I was 17 years old?
Absolutely.
Of course you do.
Absolutely.
Because Nana and Youth Advisor are the same people, just many years apart. But it's, you know, you look for safety, you look for security, you look for somebody else to pay your bill or help you pay your bills and do all that. And then when it's like, fuck, I got to go all in on me.
Yes.
And I deserve it.
Yes.
And the people who are going to benefit from my work deserve nothing but the best.
100%. Like one of the things I have struggled with on said journey is just marketing. Like the simple thing of marketing.
Got you.
And I found a course. I'm going to call it a course. It's not a course, but it's a course.
Yeah.
That just is like, we are literally, again, going to tell you exactly what to do.
Yeah.
And make this happen.
Good.
They accept people once a year. And, you know, I put it out there in the universe. I've been saying, I just need to figure out this. That's all I need.
Yep.
Something pops up on my feed. My intuition says, this is your guy. He's doing a free 3-day seminar.
I love those. Do you know how many of those they take a fucking year?
I was taking, you know what? I sign up for them. I'm there for 5 minutes and I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah, I've done that for one or two.
Yeah, because I was like, no, this is shitty snake oil salesmanship. I'm not interested.
Well, when you work for the company we did, we can smell snake oil, a mile away.
And as I'm doing this program, the shit that's coming up.
Wow.
And I'm like, fuck you. I didn't sign up for this. I just want to do some marketing.
I didn't want to get mentally abused while I was here. I just came to market.
I didn't want to look at my own self. And one of the things that I do is look at fear and how fear manifests and how it prevents you from doing what you're doing. And for the first time, I've been faced with my own fears going through this. And this person, his name is James Wedmore.
Okay.
And so follow him. He's incredible. This is not a paid advertisement.
No sponsors yet.
Right? He is me. He is talking to me like I talk to my clients.
Yeah.
This is how I knew I had found my coach. I mean, that's what I'm going to call him.
Yeah.
He's my coach. Is that after I bought this program, so after I did the 3 days, he was doing 3 2-hour sessions, giving people information.
Wow.
Like the generosity. And it's not one of those like, join my podcast, or not my podcast.
I was like, bitch.
Yeah, right? Join my program.
Right.
And I'm going to give you the 5 steps.
Yeah.
To blah, blah, blah. And then they tell you 0 things.
Like they tell you anything. If you go on ChatGPT, it'll tell you the exact same thing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then they're like, join my program. It's $20,000.
Yeah. Fuck off.
Right?
Yeah.
He was giving tangible, usable. Like if you just did that,
Yeah.
you could probably move forward and do something with your business.
Right.
But he spoke to me. So I bought the program and I was like, I don't care how much this costs. I ain't got no money, but I'm going to find it.
I value this.
Right?
Yeah.
And so in doing so, was like, okay. And then he does a conference every year, and then, which you get free tickets for. You just have to pay for your stay, obviously.
Yeah.
In the advertisement for the program, who do I see as one of his speaking guests but the Rev, Michael Beckwith, on stage with him.
Way.
And I was like, if I needed any other indicator that you were my guy, that just validated it.
Wow. I just got goosies all the way up and down
Right?
my arms. Yeah.
So I'm in a period of very quick manifestation and
Alignment, obviously.
I did a DNA activation.
With how? With what?
My new therapist is an energy worker.
Cool.
And a psychiatrist.
I actually need that for a client who is looking for a counselor, psychologist who does the spiritual work as well. So I do need her information.
Okay, we'll do that.
After. Yeah.
Yes, excellent. So yeah, I forgot how we got here, but totally forcing me to look at myself, and all this fear has come up. So I'm like, I am a client and a practitioner right now.
When we go back to the house, so Janine and I are going to go for lunch after this, and we're going to go and lay by the pool and just kiki and have the best time. I've been studying emotion code, which is the idea that we have trapped emotions in our organs and they don't get released. And so like, this is just the best example I can use because it's my life. My dad was an alcoholic, and in emotion code, when you are feeding your liver, anger is what comes out. Hence why so many people who are alcoholics have anger and that kind of a thing. So I started with a friend, the same girl who is looking for the psychologist who does the spiritual stuff. Her neck and her back were just bugging her. And I said, like, normally you do it in a process. And I said, is there a emotion we can release from this area? And it was like, yes. And so we went down and we found the emotion code, or the emotion that was trapped, and we released it. You release it with magnets, because magnets disrupt things. If you went into a computer screen and it was on and you took a magnet to the screen, what would it do? It would fuck the whole thing up.
Absolutely.
It would disrupt the frequency that it's at. So this whole idea is that magnets can disrupt the frequency that we've been.
Let's talk about my hip later.
Okay. No, we're literally, I've got the thing. We're going to do it.
I'm like this. I have sciatica as we sit here.
Yeah.
I'm on fire.
We're going to release some trapped emotions in those booty cheeks.
And you know what? It's wild, right? Because I know that there is you know when everybody's like, you got to release the hips. I'm like, I am trying to release these hips. I want those tears. I want that emotional flood, because I want them to loosen up.
Fuck yeah. I went to physio for 4 months. This was my last podcast guest, my friend Sarah, who is my physiotherapist. And we started with sciatica, and it went to glute. It went into hip and right into abductor. It was, the abductor was the issue, and that's where all the trapped emotions are. Like, I spent 4 months in physio releasing other things that were symptomatic of my emotions being trapped.
Interesting. I have a story I'm going to share with you offline about something that recently happened, and it triggered something, and took me back to a place where I was like, you know, when people talk about like going back to childhood and feeling like a little child.
Yes.
I had a moment like that, and I was like, what the mom?
Yeah.
I've been in therapy for years. And it wasn't that I haven't gotten over it, I haven't recognized that, but for someone to take me back there, was a really disturbing experience by a disturbed human.
True.
Yeah. And which we will continue down that conversation.
But I think that that's what's important for people to hear, is that even people who do this for a living, even people who practice, I practice this all day, every day.
Yeah.
And I am not immune to shit. I am not immune to being a child. I am not immune to being, petty.
Yes.
I can be an asshole. I can be a road rager. I can be a fucking cunt to some people.
Yeah.
But at the core of my issue, I'm always an angel.
Yes.
Who may be a bitch.
Yes.
But like for the most part, I'm an angel. But that's still there. I am still gonna.
We're still human.
And I am still gonna fucking rip you a new asshole if you're a fucking dick to me.
Yeah.
So
when you talk about a spiritual being having a human experience, we're still human.
Yes.
Again, misconception about spiritually minded people is that, again, we're not going to tell you about yourself. We're going to constantly be like this little Pollyanna, sweet, kind
toxic
person.
Positivity.
Yeah. No,
totally.
If you're an asshole, I'm telling you about yourself.
Absolutely.
You know what? I may have some compassion to help you work through it.
That's what I've noticed is my change is I see some people making horrific decisions and I think I don't blame them for that. It's their journey. And that's the harder thing. And that's the thing that I've learned along this lesson is that everybody's on their own journey. No matter what I say, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
They're still going to do what they're going to do. And their journey is still their journey.
Yeah.
Everybody has free will.
Yes.
But I have compassion for the patterns that person has that is keeping them stuck in that belief system.
Yes.
That is where I'm at now. So, for example, I don't know, let's say somebody had an affair with somebody else. I wouldn't be like, that whore. I'd be like, I'd be like, whatever.
Yes.
But also, I do have great compassion for people and the things that keep them stuck and self imploding and self-sabotaging for sure.
But I think the other thing is you also now are never going to get sucked in.
Take no shit, do no harm.
Amen.
That's my mantra.
Yeah.
Take no shit, do no harm. And I will not even take a fart. You know?
You know what? Even when someone does fart, I sometimes am like, is it worth it?
Yeah.
And you know what? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Because you need...
every fucking time.
Yeah. You need to be told. Because if you're not told, you'll continue to behave like this.
I also think it does do something when you are told off by a spiritual person.
It has a deeper meaning.
It has a deeper meaning. But sadly, we're going to have to wrap this up shortly. But I want to ask your advice. What would you say to somebody who is starting their spiritual journey? What advice would you give them?
Put your helmet on. You're going for a ride.
Yeah.
I think it is a couple of things. Number one, stay connected to yourself. As much as your intuition you can hear, because as you listen to it, it will grow stronger. Listen to that. People are going to think you're nuts.
But do you know how wild it is to come out of the spiritual closet and say, I'm doing Reiki and tarot readings for a living?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just own your shit.
Own it.
Yeah.
Know that people are going to. Conventional. Find your tribe. When I have these conversations with like-minded people, they don't think I'm crazy. They want to hear more.
Hell yeah.
And when you're in the world of people who only live in their human side, learn to protect your peace. Not everybody needs to know what you're doing.
That is such a great slice of advice.
Yeah.
Protect your peace.
At all costs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because you don't need an unawakened person, a sleeping agent, to disrupt you because they don't understand.
Yeah.
Because especially at the beginning, if somebody you love and trust tells you you're crazy, you're going to shut it down.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know how many people come up and like they ask you, what do you do? And I say what I do and they go, I don't believe in that. And I'm like, I didn't fucking ask you. And you're not a client. I wouldn't take you on. Like it's stunning how people have.
It would be like, what do you do? I'm a lawyer. I don't believe in that.
Yeah. I'm a venture capitalist. I don't believe in that.
No.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Doctor? No.
Yeah. I don't believe that the bodies know how to do their thing. Like, no, it's crazy.
Yeah. We are so in the material world that if it isn't something that directly relates to the physical, it's disregarded.
Yeah.
And it is really the thing that we need to be working on is our spirit.
Well, and since the age of Aquarius, was that 2 years ago that when it started, like all of this is becoming more to the forefront. All of this is becoming more and more day to day. Like there was a show on Netflix that was like matched by their astrology signs. Brilliant. So like, you know, just for that to be brought. I have a friend, shout out Stars by Alyssa, who was on one of the Bravo shows doing tarot readings.
That's incredible.
And she was like the only tarot reader who they ever put in a good light on Bravo. Ever, ever, ever. So, yes, shout out Stars by Alyssa. But those are the things where you can be pegged to look a certain way, or whether it's you doing that, whether it's the way people frame what you do, all of that. I remember I did a couple pop-ups last year at local markets and I was offering tarot readings, and you'd have some people be like, oh, what does that mean? And then you'd have other people like literally throwing money at you, being like, I'm a client for life. Like, you're drawn to what you're drawn to. Why do you have to yuck somebody else's yum? Why do you have to shit on somebody else's plate? You don't.
Yeah. If you don't agree with it, keep it moving. I mean, look at YouTube. All of the tarot readers.
Right.
I'm going to say thousands. And they're all making a living.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's a whole different subject of abundance.
Absolutely.
So, you know, if you'll have me, I'd love to return. Oh. And we can talk about other shit.
I think we might need our own Nana and the Youth Advisor.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So funny.
Now,
so funny.
You mentioned You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. What other resources, spiritual resources would you... Also, your planner, her hercollected planner, I would strongly recommend as a resource because I was actually planning to buy one and I will be giving you money for it.
You're not, because the year's almost done, but you can pre-order the new one.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I actually just finished designing it. I'm doing something different this year with the printing because, you know, ordering a huge quantity from China puts you with like, I have inventory.
Yeah.
And it's not the type of planner that it's like, it's for the year. When the year's up, you're like, I got 50 left.
Yeah, I still got 50 2024s.
Yeah. Hello, Value Village. So yeah.
You Can Heal Your Life, your hercollected planner.
I've read, obviously, a number of books by Michael Beckwith. In terms of my girl, Abraham Hicks.
Oh, I live, laugh, love that bitch.
Right?
The law of detachment was one of the most profound lessons I have learned in spirituality.
And release and surrender. That is unknowingly the space that I am working in, and every level of release is freedom,
and it just gets better. And like, this is to be said, I met Nana Janine here when she was close to 40, and so now like you've lived 3 lives since then. God. And I think that is one of the most major misconceptions with life in general. And Gary Vee says it all the time, that we don't think we have enough time. Our relationship to time is such a sordid and fucked up relationship.
Yes, it is.
That there is time. There is an abundance of time. There is an abundance of wealth. There is an abundance of resources for everybody to go in. You just simply have to believe it.
You know, I mean, I tell my clients all the time, now would be a wonderful time to start. Like as you said, the fucked up relationship we have with time, you thinking you don't have enough time, but then delaying your joy and opportunities. Yeah. Like, make it make sense. Like, when I'm dealing with you're in your 40s. You have another 50 plus years to live. Yeah. Like, how much more time do you need?
You met me at 28. I'm 38 now.
Oh my God, years. I don't know where it's gone.
I know. But the thing is, I've lived out west twice in between. I've had 3, 4, 5, 6 different careers, several boyfriends, and a baby named Shrimp. And I lost my uterus. So, like, a lot has happened in 10 years.
Tell me about it.
Right? And so that's it. We can be and live and be reborn 1,000 times over. You just simply have to do it.
Yeah.
Well, Janine, this was such a fucking joy.
I don't even have words. It was, yeah, we have to do it again.
Yes.
Yeah.
You are a gift. I'm so grateful I walked into that shitty little place and met your beautiful soul. And that all of these years later, it is like looking at a beautiful, you haven't aged one fucking day. And it actually makes me mad. But
it's the moisturizer.
Yeah, it's the skincare. It's the beautician background.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Thank you for everything. And where can people find you?
Oh, goodness. Well, I'm on Instagram, hercollected, and hercollected.com. I have some nice free resources there.
Great resources.
That people can check out. I have a whole purpose path webinar that's free.
Amazing.
If you're in a place where you feel very confused or whatever, you want to start the process, start there.
And when you listen to this, you can just click in on the show notes. We'll have it all linked right there.
Awesome.
So thank you, Janine. And thank you, angels. And I guess we'll see you next moon. Bye.
Bye.